Subscribe to the Let's Talk Football podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Let's Talk Football channel. We're back again with another one today, and I'm going to go straight to Ethan, who can give us a quick rundown of what we're going to be discussing.
Alright, hey up guys, so in the podcast today we're going to be seeing who's going to be winning the league by the end of the weekend, so Liverpool and Man City. Then Everton confirmed staying up after the comeback win against Crystal Palace 3-2. Then who's staying up in the Premier League? Leeds or Burnley. Then what counts more for a Premier League? What counts for more, a Premier League title or the Champions League? Then we're gonna give three mentions really. So first one being Jack Daniels, a Blackpool player who's the first English player in the Football League to come out as gay. So we're looking at that. Then female refereeing at the Qatar World Cup in November. And then lastly, we're going to be going on to the Mansfield versus Port Vale game at Wembley.
Yeah, I think with that last one, if you are a Port Vale fan, I don't think it's going to be very balanced. It is just sort of a little motivational message to Mansfield to sort of demolish their opponents. But anyways, we'll go straight to the first topic that was mentioned by Ethan there, which is by the end of this weekend, because we know on Sunday all the final games of the Premier League get played. So by the end of this weekend, will it be Man City's trophy, or will Liverpool snatch the Premier League title due to winning their game against Wolves and Aston Villa with Gerrard pulling off a shocker? I don't know. I'm going to go to Ethan first. What do you think? By the end of this weekend, which team is going to be Premier League champions?
Well, to be honest, I'd prefer Liverpool to win the title, because when Man City win it, no one likes it. It's just boring. So, but I can't see Man City dropping points against Aston Villa. If they do, well, it's going to be a really good weekend for Liverpool fans. Honestly, it's going to be absolute scenes. Are they away or home? Do you know?
Man City at home.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Liverpool.
Oh, Liverpool.
Liverpool.
At home, I think.
Yeah,
I think they're at Anfield.
At Anfield as well. Bloody hell, that's going to be scenes, that is, if that happens. But I can't see Man City dropping points against Aston Villa. But if it does happen, then wow.
So you want Liverpool to win the league, but as what you actually think is going to happen?
I can't see it. I can't see Man City dropping points, so I think Man City are going to win the league.
Okay, fair enough. Aaron, going to you next. Is it City's or Liverpool's by the end of this weekend?
I can agree with that comment, because one thing I'll put into this is Man City haven't got a trophy to play for, so they can fully send that final game to make sure they win the Premier League.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas Liverpool still have a Champions League final to play, and I think, obviously, with the speculation of Salah getting an injury, I just can't see Liverpool winning the Prem.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll say my opinion, then we'll go to Haz last. I'm leaving Haz last for this one because he is a Liverpool fan himself, so I'll just be interested to leave his view last to see what he's saying. But personally, in my opinion, I think... Do you know, I said it the other day, so I'm just going to back it again. I think it's me being a bit optimistic, to be honest with you. But I said Liverpool beat Wolves, I'm going to say 3-1. And I think Man City, Aston Villa ends 2-2. Man City somehow slip up. Coutinho, I'm not saying he gets the goal that gets Aston Villa a draw, but he gets one of the goals. Gerrard goes mental. Anfield goes wild. I'm going to go with the miracle story, and I'm going to say that Liverpool just clinch the Premier League title on the final day of the season. But let's go to the Liverpool fan himself. What do you think? Has all, bias aside, what do you think is going to happen by the end of this weekend?
Yeah, well, For a few reasons, I do want to make it interesting and say, obviously, 2 for Man City, 2 for Liverpool. And yeah, I'll give a few reasons behind that as well. I won't just blindly say that just because I'm a Liverpool fan, although I do obviously want that to be the case. There's a few things that are sort of pointing towards it, I feel. Firstly, being the fact that this is the only trophy Man City are playing for. Therefore, I feel like the pressure is insurmountably on them as compared to us. All we have to do is just win a game, but it's more on Man City's hands. Therefore, I feel like the pressure might make him fumble the bag, possibly. Secondly, I feel like Gerrard's motivations towards his own career, because you got to remember, Aston Villa are fighting to get to the top half of the Premier League as well, which would be a massive achievement for their club, considering Gerrard came, with half a team really, and he had to build that up. So to get to that point at the end of the season would be a massive achievement for them. So alongside Gerrard's personal motivations, I think for the club as well, they're probably going to be fighting for points alongside Man City. So I feel like that could come into account. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. And especially the fact that at January, Man City were 14 points ahead of Liverpool. And I don't think anyone expected them to lose the games that they lost or drew the games they drew to get to the point where we're only 1 point behind them. And I feel like it could happen again. So, I mean, granted, obviously looking at the fixture, Man City are a much better team than Aston Villa. I get that, but I just feel with the pressures and, you know, the fact that Man City draw or lose that game, they have lost every chance to get any trophies this season. I just feel like the pressure may be too much for them. So, yeah, I'll also back the fact that the miracle could happen, but I don't know. It's a tough one to predict.
All right, fair enough. So let's go back. Cast your minds to Thursday night. Right, everybody will know what I'm about to say. Everton were 2-0 down at the hands of Palace. They were 2-0 down at half-time, and they somehow, by the end of the game, have won it 3-2 to confirm that they will be remaining in the Premier League. Unbelievable game for Everton fans especially. A shame with some of the scenes that happened after the match with Vieira and stuff, but we're not going to go into that, to be honest with you. We just want to talk about the fact that Everton have actually stayed in the Premier League. Really, two main questions I've got lined up related to this for all of us is, firstly, did you expect Everton to stay up this season with how they were going? And secondly, now that Frank has just about managed to get it over the line, does he deserve to be the man that they trust going forward with Everton Football Club? And I'm going to take those two questions and I'm going to go straight to Haz this time. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think before the last sort of 5, maybe 6 games, I was sort of heavily, I don't know, towards the side of, I think they would get relegated. They didn't really have a strong identity in the side. I think Frank Lampard's style of play didn't really fit with the players at that time. Alongside the injuries of, say, like Calvert-Lewin, it really wasn't looking great for them. And with their fixtures, before they were playing them, like Chelsea and Leicester and a few others, I really did think that in comparison to, say, like Leeds and Burnley, they didn't have a fighting chance. However, as the games were going on, like how they managed to win against Chelsea and Leicester, those games I just said, like, I think after those games, I did sort of think that they would pull through, and considering they've been in the Premier League for so long, I feel like it was only inevitable, really, that they would stay up. What was the second question, sir?
And the second question was, now that Frank has just about managed to get it over the line for Everton and keep them up, do you feel, in your opinion, he should be the man that Everton fully back to try and drive them forward as a club?
Well, I mean, granted he didn't have the best experience at Chelsea for the most part. He does sort of have now that Premier League experience, and I mean, despite really a topsy-turvy Everton season, I don't know, I feel like you should still give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe give him the summer, see what he can craft with the money, despite, Everton's previous transfer windows have been pretty disastrous, to say the least. but I'm not totally sure. I mean, we'll just see. I do say give him one at least this summer to see what he can do with the club, and then maybe judge his performances at the start of the season and go from there. But either way, considering how dire the situation was before, and I think you have to give him some credit despite the games that they had previously.
Well,
yeah.
just to press you on that, just one last bit, just to give an example of what I completely mean. Say next season they're 10, 12 games in, and they've only picked up 2-3 wins out of the first 12. Do you say, no, we're going to stick by him because he kept us up last season and we've got to put some faith into him and repay him for doing that? Or do you go, it doesn't matter, he's gone? That's sort of what I'm saying. Do you allow him to ride through the rough if he starts in a bad way? Or if he starts the season badly next season, do you just go, no, see you later, get somebody else in? That's what I really mean by that. What would you do with Frank if that was the case, 12 games in, and it's looking really rough again?
Yeah, well, I'll use an example here to sort of illustrate the difference between Frank Lampard and I'll mention Mikel Arteta in this situation. Like, because, okay, look at Arteta, finished 7th the season before this one. I mean, I feel like many were saying sack him, but they gave him the summer to work on the players. And granted, they've had a bad end to the season. However, they've progressed, and I guess, I mean, they're probably not going to get Champions League now, but they're doing a bit better than they were. That shows improvement. As compared to Frank Lampard, they've already been through a tough time. They've nearly been relegated, and Everton are supposed to be a side fighting for European places. That, like, obviously not a top 4 side, however, they should be in that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and a push spot. So to be at the bottom half of the season, there needs to be some serious work, and, you know, maybe it's a bit tough to say that he should get sacked, say maybe if the board or the owners don't support him enough, but I don't know. I just feel like tactically, starting next season, I think, because they will get at least a few players in, they'll have to, and if performances don't pick up, then I suppose, I would say maybe he deserves the sack, but it's a tough one to call because, you know, when in those situations, it's really hard to sort of put the blame on someone, you know. But I feel at that point, if they've only, like you said, picking up only 2 or 3 wins, I would say he deserves a sack at that point. But very tough one to say, I'd say. Yeah,
fair enough. So I'll go to you, Aaron. What do you think? Did you expect, firstly, Everton to stay up? And also the same question to you again. If Everton had a rocky start to next season, would you stay with Frank or would you part ways? Do you believe in Frank Lampard?
See, one thing I'll say is I was kind of wanting Everton to go down, but that was mainly personal bias because I did want to go Everton away games.
Yeah.
But I'd say in recent weeks that was slowly starting to fade as an idea because they have been getting a lot better. Like Richarlison's goal for the other week for them to win, I think it was from then that it was obvious that they were going to stay up. And then obviously that win tonight with Dominic Calvert-Lewin's winning diving header to win the game. I think that's it. I definitely say Lampard's got potential with the club, but if you look back in the past 10, 11 seasons, Everton have been known as a easy top 10 side. But I'd say in probably the last year and a half, 2 years, I think they started to decline. And I think Frank Lampard's got the ability to rebuild the club. It's just going to take time. And I don't think they're going to be top 10 again now for at least 2 or 3 seasons because they've not got the ability. And after this season, with them scraping relegation, I think players are going to leave and they're going to have to get new signings. So it's going to be a whole slow process for Lampard to rebuild. And then that goes on to what I would say they should stick with Lampard and don't make other clubs' mistakes of constantly changing managers because it's just not going to be beneficial for the club. And at the end of the day, he's kept them out of relegation from already a tough situation against quite a few tough ending games. And the thing with Everton is, if you give them time, like look at the other, I think it was 2 seasons ago, and they had that really insane start. If they keep that form, or get that form back that they had, I could easily see them finishing top 10. But at the current state where they are, I can't see them beating teams that are in 10th, 11th sort of positions, unless they were to start getting higher calibre players than they've got. But I think, looking at what you were saying with 12 games and like 2 or 3 wins, I still think they should keep him, going back to what I said, because it's just stupid to get rid of a manager at that point of a season when they might not even be able to get someone that could keep them up. Where Frank Lampard, who's already got that experience of keeping them up, and he's obviously got the passion with the club, because if he didn't have the passion, then how would they have won? Because at that when it was half time and it was 2-0, the players must have felt really drained and quite down. But he's obviously said something to them, and they've gone and pushed for that win, and pushed. Whereas in the first half, Palace, to me, looked like they were dominating until they came back in the second half, and you have Seamus Coleman's outside the foot goal, which I thought was a really nice goal. And then from that, Richarlison's goal wasn't great, but if he was able to keep that passion that he installed in those players, they could probably get 14th, 15th the next season, if not higher.
Yeah. Well, I think, to be fair, going on to you now, Ethan, I think Haz and Aaron, they've given 2 different opinions with that sort of idea made up of 12 games, 2-3 wins, but both valid points. You can see the idea behind both of them. But, yeah, in your opinion, did you expect them to stay up? Do you have faith in Frank Lampard?
Well, I didn't think they were going to stay up, to be honest. I mean, from the 1st of May, where they played Chelsea, them games after that, so Leicester, Watford, Brentford, and obviously the Palace game, that would decide if they would stay up or not with them results. The Chelsea game, lucky goal.
It was very lucky.
Very lucky goal. Very lucky goal. They won against Leicester, good result. Watford Everton could have gone either way with 0-0. Poor defeat at Brentford, and that game there, they should have gone down.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Confirmed. That's exactly what I thought, to be honest with you.
That should have been confirmed.
Yeah.
Alex game, really good spirit from Everton, to be fair, but I don't think they deserve to stay up, to be honest.
Yeah.
And after the aftermath of the game as well, going on the pitch,
disrespectful.
And it's just it's not right, to be honest. And when you said about do I think they should sack Lampard? I reckon give him, like you said, first 10 games, see what happens.
Yeah.
Give him in the summer. Give him time in the summer to rebuild the actual shit side, and see where it happens, see what goes.
Okay.
To be honest, I mean, this Everton side, I don't know what's gone on with this Everton side, to be honest, because when Carlo Ancelotti was in,
well, that's
they were a hard side to beat.
Exactly.
They were a hard side to beat. And since Carlo Ancelotti wanted to go Real Madrid, which is fair enough to him, they got Lampard in, and it was a downfall.
Yeah.
So I think if given the first 10 games, given the summer transfer window, if there's no progress, no improvement, get him gone.
Yeah.
I know clubs are saying, well, like Aaron said, sacking the manager isn't the right thing to do, because if you keep sacking, there's no improvement.
There's no rhythm.
But you sack him, surely there's going to be someone better. Sean Dyche. Imagine if he went to Everton.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean,
so much experience in the Premier League, you'd keep him up and make him in a really good top 10 side, like he did with Burnley.
Yeah. Well, for me, to be honest with you,
for what? He kept Burnley up for how many seasons?
With no investment as well.
10.
Exactly. Imagine if you had money.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I was the same as you, Ethan, to be honest. I didn't think they were going to stay up. They had a couple of lucky results, I would say, to be honest. A couple of big results they did get were fortunate ones. Like, remember the United game that they won? United they've been poor all season, and the goal from Gordon, who was a great young player, it's a massive deflection that takes it in.
Yeah.
The little bits of luck like that get them points. And then Brentford, like you say, they stupidly get 2 red cards. They lose to Brentford when they're at home. It's really poor. And you think that should be it now. So I do think, in a way, they didn't really deserve to go to stay up. And if you actually look at the points tally for relegation, this is one of the lowest point relegation battles there's ever been. Which basically means...
Really?
Which basically means this season... It's one of the easiest seasons to stay up because the points down the bottom have been so low. I mean, the points down the bottom this season are actually less than, I think, the points when Stoke got relegated. It's one of the lowest ones of recent times, and I know that because that's been spoke about heavily. But they stayed up, which is the main thing. They got a brilliant comeback against Palace. That's great. Gerrard, Frank Lampard, next season, I sort of agree with Ethan. I'd probably give him until... Because he didn't really... Oh, this is going to sound awful now. He didn't really do too much. Like, the bad form, like Ethan was saying, carried on. It did carry on after Rafa. They were just giving him the benefit of the doubt, over and over, and he managed to nick some results, and they've stayed up. But I do like his passion and optimism for the game and for Everton. I like that. I'd personally give him until December. I think you could say January, but I think December is probably a better time because then you can get a new manager in December if you can at the time, depending on availability. You get a new manager in at the beginning of December. They've got a whole month to work with the current squad and maybe look and use the January transfer window. So I would say maybe give him till December. If it's really looking poor, get him out, because at the end of the day, it's all right saying we're going to stick with you, but if that puts you into the second tier of English football, you could stay there for longer than you expect. Stoke did it with Mark Hughes. They had too much loyalty, and look what happened. We stuck with him until January. Not enough time for Paul Lambert. Went down. It's hard to get back up. It's harder than you think, to be honest. But anyway, moving on then. Congratulations to Frank Lampard, though, still, obviously. It's still a great achievement in the sense that they were rock bottom when he got there. So the next question, keeping on with the relegation theme, is that now really for the final spot of the relegation trio, we're looking at Leeds and Burnley. It's going to be very interesting. So the question is, basically, who's going down? Is it going to be Leeds or Burnley being the third team by the end of this weekend that are going to be going into the Championship next season? And I'm going to go to Aaron first on this one. Who's joining the Championship trio? Is it Leeds or Burnley?
See, they both want equal points. Now, for me, see, it's a very difficult question to answer because
it's tight.
Burnley have got Newcastle. Now, speaking about Newcastle, they've done very well considering they were in potential relegation battle. But now looking at Burnley against Newcastle, I can see it being 2-1, maybe 3-1 Newcastle if they put a good performance out. But obviously with it being the last game of the season, there's not a lot for Newcastle to play for. So it's one of them where they might not play as good as they can. Yeah. And then you look at Leeds, they have Brentford. Now, can I see them beating Brentford? is the question. I don't think they can beat Brentford.
Right.
I think currently with Leeds being in the, obviously, 18th, at the borderline of relegation, I think it will be Leeds that goes down based on goal difference, because I think both teams are going to lose this weekend on Sunday. I don't think either of them are going to win, because they've got both of them are playing teams that are just outside of top 10. Now, Brentford, if they win, they have the potential of going to top 10 sides. And it's the same with Newcastle. So they have that aim to work towards a top 10 side team. And it's even more of an achievement for Newcastle, where when you look back 2 or 3 months ago, just around the time of the takeover, if not a bit earlier, they were looking like they could be going down. Now they are 12th, 46 points, the same as Brentford, and then 2 points off of being 10th. Now, I think Newcastle and Brentford are both going to fight for the win to try and go for that. So, the way it's currently going, I'd probably say that Leeds would go down.
Yeah, fair enough. I think for me, I'll just quickly come in with my view on this. I think my prediction, I can understand yours, to be fair. That could very well happen, to be honest with you. You could see that. But I'm going to say that Leeds will snatch a 1-1 draw with Brentford, and that Newcastle will beat Burnley, and that Leeds will stay up by a point. But which one are you saying who is staying up? Will it be Leeds or Burnley?
I mean, yeah, I did a fairly decent look at both of those games. With Leeds playing Brentford and Newcastle playing Burnley, and to be honest, yeah, I think I do agree. I feel like Leeds will go down in goal difference purely because, I feel they'll both lose purely because Burnley at this point don't really have any identity, especially after Sean Dyche is leaving. I do respect the players that still are at Burnley and their desire to stay up. The players are quite motivated and are quite. There's like a sense of togetherness despite Sean Dyche leaving. However, I just don't think there's enough against the reformed Newcastle under the new owners and the new players they've brought in. I feel like it's just too much firepower for Burnley to really do anything about. And as for Leeds against Brentford, I just feel Brentford is such a better side right now. Clearly looking at the league, and I just feel Leeds' defence is just too weak to really counter Brentford to garner any points from that. So yeah, I think there'll be a loss throughout the game, and yeah, Leeds will go down in goal difference.
Okay, fair enough. Ethan, in your opinion, who is going down to the Championship?
I do agree with Aaron and Anas, to be fair. I can't see Leeds getting anything from Brentford. And may I say, is this Brentford's first season in the Prem, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Last year.
Yeah,
So it's the first season. And to get 11th is pretty... Well, right now 11th is such a good season for Brentford. So I'm pretty sure I think they will want to win the game, because they're fighting to get top 10. And in my opinion, I think Burnley are a better side than Leeds at the minute. I think there's more of a togetherness at Burnley than there is at Leeds.
Well, yeah.
And due to the goal difference as well, that's a big factor.
I mean, that's
down to how Marcel Bielsa played.
Yeah,
like way more attacking football, leaving the defence a bit shaky at the back.
Well, can I just say though? May I remind you, gents, that it was only Leeds United's last game. You say they can't pick up a point, the defence can't handle it. They got a 1-1 draw against Brighton in the last game, Leeds, in the 92nd minute. You can't rule Leeds out. I understand what you're saying. It could well happen, but just, you know, any Leeds fan listening to this right now, I'm sure this is what they'll be thinking. You can't rule us out because in
No, you can't. No, you can't.
no, it's true though, isn't it? You know, they got a 1-1 draw against Brighton right at the end, and Brighton are a better side than Brentford, really. You know, they're a really complete side, so we'll see. But I can completely understand your views, and it could well go that way, to be honest with you. And if it did, it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm still going to stick with my point of view. So Leeds fans in the comments, big up. Just put big up, was it, for that one? You're welcome. What counts for more? This is the next thing we're moving on to. What counts for more, a Premier League title or a Champions League? Now, the reason this is a topic on here, a question, is because obviously Man City of recent years have won numerous Premier League titles in consecutive seasons, whereas Liverpool, they've got that fine history in Europe. I think it's 6 Champions League or 6 European trophies. So I've seen a lot of debate. I saw Pep say that he thinks a league title is bigger because it's over a longer season, and now I've seen other managers commenting on it and putting their views. I can't remember what other Premier League manager said about it, but there was another Premier League manager who said the other day he also thinks a league title means more. But it could go either way, and it's very divided, and I've seen a lot of talk about it in the media over the past week. So I thought, actually, it is a quite interesting question. So going to you first, Has, in your opinion, what's worth more, a Premier League title or a Champions League? If it's Liverpool, what satisfies you more, the thought of Liverpool winning the Premier League by the end of the season or the Champions League?
I mean, to be honest, a very good point of it being a long and drawn out thing. Therefore, the Premier League is more, I guess, rewarding in a sense, and it's more of a complete thing. I don't know. I feel like there's 2 answers. I mean, if you're saying for Liverpool currently, I think fans, generally speaking, would be still happy. Well, I'd be happier with the Premier League title win over Champions League, just because, like you said, from a Liverpool standpoint, we've, as the anthem say, we have conquered all of Europe, and domestically, we still want to win a few in the Premier League. But I feel like on a general level, like if you're just talking any club, which one would they prefer to win? I do say I think the Champions League is more of a complete thing, and it's more of a I don't know. It's got more prestige than just winning a domestic title. Just because, like with the Premier League, in a few of the games that you play, you're allowed to play a B team, for example. You don't have to play your top 11 every game. There can just be times where you can rest your main players, and many managers do, to play in the Champions League, because they know every game they play in the Champions League, they have to get their top 11 out. And I just feel like the stature the Champions League has, I feel like even the sides that you don't expect to play well, like Villarreal, they've proven they can beat top sides just because they bring it 110%. And I feel like I don't think you see the same sort of motivation from certain clubs when they're playing domestically. I don't know. I just feel like there's more pressure to win a game in the Champions League. Therefore, you get more of a better performance from certain players. So therefore, I think it is a lot harder to win the Champions League, and thus it's a better achievement. But that's just my opinion.
All right. Well, I think for me, just quickly going on to this, I heard your argument there about some games in the Premier League you can play your weaker side for some of them, whereas Champions League, you have to put your best 11 out. Now I understand that argument for the Champions League, because he's saying every single game's a tough game, and some games in the Premier League you can put a weaker squad and get away with it. However, you could flip that argument and say, well, that means in the Champions League, it's the same side that have won every game to get them that title, whereas in the Premier League, it might be more valuable in some ways, because more players have been involved in it because you have to rotate the side. So you've had A and B team players involved, whereas the Champions League is just the same 11 doing it all, whereas the Premier League could be more spectacular because you could say as a Man City fan, I don't know, I'm just using random examples of players now that are more second string. You could say, remember when Ake played and he got that block and he got that clearance and he made that crucial tackle, and Ake and other players like Zinchenko and others can feel involved in the success because they have actually played parts in it, whereas in the Champions League you can't say the same things for Ake and others. The only time you can is when there's a serious injury, so you could flip that in fairness.
Those are fair.
But I do understand what you're saying at the same time. Personally for me, I mean, both are massive. If I'm not going to sit on the fence, though, obviously we never do that here. We've got to give an answer. I'll go with the Premier League title. I think the Champions League is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They're almost on a par with each other, to be honest with you. It's a bit like Leeds and Burnley. Like, they're on a par. You might choose one over the other, but they're on a par with each other, really. The only difference is Leeds and Burnley are equally shit at the moment, whereas the Champions League and the Premier League are equally brilliant. No offence to Leeds or Burnley fans out there. So I'll go with the Premier League. It's 38 games. It's a long season. And the fact that you actually have to use second string players at times, I think it really tests the strength of the manager, the strength of the players, the strength of the whole squad, not just a certain group of players. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the Premier League. However, they're very close to each other, to be honest. You would be over the moon with either, really. But in your opinion, Ethan, which one is more valuable?
I mean, when you two have been saying your opinions, I've been twisting and turning, thinking it's going to be that, it's going to be that.
50-50, man, it's a tough one.
It is 50-50, going to be honest, it is 50-50. But I will give my answer. In my opinion, it is the Premier League because you have to have a good squad depth to win the Premier League.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, look at Man City, for example. When they have won it, they've had good squad depth. Mm-hmm. Very good squad depth. And this season they have had quite serious injuries. I mean, at the latter stages of the season, Ruben Diaz, he's injured right now. Walker and Stones, they were injured. They've come back now.
Yeah.
You have to have good squad depth in the Premier League to win the Premier League title.
It's a real team effort.
Yeah, it is. And don't get me wrong, the Champions League, if you win it, it's brilliant. Like the saying with Liverpool,
you've conquered
the conquerors of Europe.
Yeah.
I do think it is the Premier League though, because durability.
Yeah.
You've got to be 100% fit to play 38 games, and it is hard to play 38 games in one season in the Premier League. Yeah. That's why you have to have a good squad depth.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to keep a positive mentality in the Champions League when you can go, right, we're one game away from the quarterfinals, then after that it's a game away from the semis, and so on and so forth. It's a lot easier to do that in Champions League. Premier League, it's difficult. You can't go, well, we'll play one more game and then we've got another 20, and then we've got another 15, and then we've got another 10. And by the way, we've also got a very good team in second chasing us week in, week out on top of that. So it's very interesting though. Aaron, in your opinion, what do you think? Do you agree with Haz, or are you going with the idea that the Premier League's more valuable?
See, I'm kind of like you say, it's a hard one, but there are a couple of things that I would say differently that come to mind for me. Now, in the Champions League, you've got top teams from the top leagues across the world. Now, for clubs like Villarreal that was previously mentioned, and for example Frankfurt, who are going to be in the running next one for, obviously with them winning
the Europa League,
that one,
Europa League,
yeah.
That's it, the Europa League. They're going to be in it next season, and for teams that place 4th to 7th, 4th to 8th, depending on what league they're from, they don't have that ability to win their top leagues. Now, teams like West Ham, for example, I don't see them winning the Premier League, but I would say if they could get a good lineup in the Champions League, they'd have a good run-in to win the Champions League. I know they didn't quite do it in the Europa League, but give them a couple of years and they could be in that run-in. And that's what I think, for me, in some cases makes the Champions League better, because it gives teams that can't win their leagues a chance to win a trophy that in some cases may be better.
Yeah.
But then, if you look at the Premier League and top leagues like the Bundesliga and all that, you've got to take into account the amount of matches they play and the likeliness of injuries that they're going to have. Now, that brings back into what Ethan says about squad depth. Now, I think it's harder to win the Champions League in the perspective of the teams that you're going to come up against, but then it's also harder in the perspective of Premier League, because you have to play so many teams and you have to win so many games to even do good. But then one thing I will say about the Premier League is you have teams that can barely even win a game, and obviously look at Norwich. They've got something like minus 55, 56 goal difference. Teams like them are basically 3 points for teams that are top 5, top 6. And I feel like if the Premier League had more of a quality where it's 2-1s, 1-1s, 1-0s every game, instead of games where people are winning, let's take Liverpool, for example, how they've won games 9-0. Or Southampton lose 9-0. And it's not happened once, it's happened more than once. There's factors like that you've got to take into account, which makes it easier for teams like Man City with their money to make that squad depth. And I think because of the money, it makes it easier to gain squad depth. So I'm going to bring back...
Yeah.
Go on.
I was going to say, so...
What are you going to say? Cause
ultimately, what are you trying to say, Aaron? I feel like you're trying to say that you want the Champions League. You think the Champions League is more valuable, and also that maybe the Premier League, ditch that, mate. We want a European Super League. Get out, Norwich. You don't deserve a chance to get into the Prem.
No. What it is for me, right, is I feel like top 15 Premier League sides give good battles with each other for good games, good matches to watch. It's just the bottom 5 teams that are more likely to get battered.
No.
Sorry, Ethan. I mean, I don't think it was really... okay. Well, so in your opinion, Aaron, are you going with Champions League?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. I get it's tied. I do understand what you're saying in a way. He did have a point in the sense that teams like... I mean, I wouldn't say... I understood what he meant by like using West Ham as an example. I mean, I wouldn't bend it that far, but I do get what he means. That like sides like Villarreal. No, but he had a point though. Sides like Villarreal, right?
Okay, yeah.
No. Look at the La Liga with Villarreal. They were like 7th or 8th in La Liga when they were in the semis against Liverpool of the Champions League. There is something about smaller teams struggling in their own league, but being able to put a run in the Champions League. So I did get that point. I do agree with that in the sense that for some reason there is. I think it's because it's a one. It's a cup competition. There's more likely. There's more chance for teams that don't have any say in their own league to actually go for it. Funnily enough, against the bigger sides in Europe.
Well, it's the same with the FA Cup.
FA Cup,
really, and the.
You can say all of
League
it, really.
Cup, really.
It's just cup nature.
Because you've got Championship sides beating Premier League sides.
Yeah, and Championship sides as well that aren't doing anything in their own league. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, like us, for example.
Middlesbrough
Good winning.
Middlesbrough beat Man United at Old Trafford, and they didn't even make it in the playoffs in the end. But
they beat them as well, didn't they?
What'd you say? Yeah. They did.
Yeah, they beat Tottenham as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
see, that's the thing though. Like, clubs can show more passion through cup games than they would in league games if they're so. Like what you brought into them beating higher teams it might be because they're trying to beat them teams to show that they have that ability to beat better teams than what they are currently against.
Right. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying.
I did think when you said about the bottom 5 sides being like not giving good games. There was the the Burnley game against Tottenham. Burnley gave Tottenham a really good game.
However,
Tottenham got really good, like 3 good points against Burnley.
Yeah. However, but in a sense, he is right with when he uses examples like Norwich. I mean, they're really not pushing out everyone. So I maybe wouldn't say bottom 5, but there is definitely. Well, you can think of at least 2 straight away. Norwich and Watford done nothing all season. It's a disgrace.
There's yo-yo clubs, isn't there?
Yeah.
Between the Championship.
Fulham's another one.
As well, the lowest sort of. Obviously, how you mentioned this season being the lowest sort of points. It's because of clubs that are lower down have not necessarily got the ability to beat higher teams and just get absolutely battered by them. That was what my point was trying to say, is that those sort of clubs struggle against the higher clubs, and it's kind of a boring game to watch. Whereas you could watch 10th and 11th have a really good game, and it'd be like 1 or 2-0 or 1 sort of.
The gap's widening.
I'll just say, bringing it back to just the point I was making about those sides as well that are like stuck in like Norwich and Watford. If you're saying like your standing Man City side can thrash them, that's why I'm saying that like Man City's B team can still win in 2-3-0. Liverpool's B team can still win in 2-3-0. And like, Liverpool's B team went against Carlos Ancelotti's Real Madrid in the final. They're not going to have a chance.
No,
you won't find a single team. Apart from maybe the knockout stages where you can play a B team, but even then, it's rare that a B team will beat a team in the Champions League. But it's a hard one.
I mean, but that B team thing again, though, it forces teams to actually look at other players that they've got in the squad, except from the ones that they've spent millions on. It actually gives youngsters as well more of a chance of being given a go, even in title races. So I can see what you're saying, though. At the same time, it's very much one where you could talk about it for hours, and it feels like we literally have been talking about it for hours, even though we haven't. There's been a lot of back and forth there. Now, these aren't questions or anything. These are just 2 general topics that I just thought we could touch on. Just 2 things that have happened in the past week. So we're going to start off with there's one with Qatar World Cup.
Before you move on, could I ask a question about the previous topic?
Okay, very. We're going to do this very briefly, though, Aaron. Right?
It'll only be a brief question.
Yeah.
Do you think that teams should have so many games a season where they have to play B teams? Like so for F1, for example, in practice sessions.
My God.
No, just listen. In practice sessions, they have to have at least 2 practice sessions where they get one of the B drivers, which is basically a B team, to run them practice sessions.
Right. Well, I tell you what. Actually, I'm going to give this to Aaron. I actually understand what he's on about because I've seen an argument a few years ago. I saw an argument. Can't remember what platform it was on. But there was an argument saying, should there be a required amount of games where the B team has to play so that it's using the full squad? Because the argument was it might make it more interesting, it could make the title race more open, and it gets more players involved, and it means as well it might stop the big teams from investing so much money in the first team when they know they're still going to have to use the B team, and it actually might make them invest in the youth more. However, I am going to say, in my opinion, I think that would be a silly rule, but I can understand where that stemmed from, if that makes sense. But I'm guessing we're all agreeing we wouldn't do that. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
agree with a rule.
Yeah, I'll tell you why it's a rule that isn't really particularly that thought out. I mean, like, what teams do qualify for a B-side? Like, every team has a select number of players. Like, is it top 4, top 6? Like, I mean, it's like the Super Cup, innit? Like, you can't qualify really. You deserve to be there.
If you expand it out to the whole league, then if Norwich are struggling with the first team, how the hell are they meant to win the games where they have to use the B team? So it'd be interesting. Yeah. But we'll move on to the topics that we were going to go on to then. So firstly, as Ethan mentioned at the beginning of the pod, Blackpool player, he's 17 years old. Jack Daniels is the first English professional footballer to come out as gay. Now, we're never going to say the first English league footballer who is gay, because we know that there's going to be plenty of English footballers, or just English league footballers generally, that are almost in fear of coming out, because of, even though it shouldn't be an issue, it shouldn't need to be highlighted, it shouldn't need to be spoke about on here, it shouldn't need to be a Sky Sports interview to say what your sexuality is. But unfortunately, with some of the morons that we have within male football, it has to be, which I think is a shame. If you get what I mean, because it you can understand why certain players won't say about the sexuality, because they might get abused for it, because, like I say, that is the moronic side of some people. But I just think the bravery and courage he's shown. He's 17 years old. I mean, you could have players that don't want to say until after they retire, that could be in their late 20s, and he's 17. He's a kid, really. He's a kid. And he's said it before the real pickup of his career. So he knows that's going to be there for the whole of his career. So the bravery and the courage to do that, I think, is brilliant. And I think it's great. The reason I wanted to touch on it is because there'll be kids and there'll be other professional footballers watching that who are too scared to say something, who might actually pick up some inspiration from what Jack Daniels has done. And they might go, you know what? He's done it. I can. And that's why I wanted to pick up a highlight on it, because I think it could be such a brilliant thing for so many people that are struggling with what to do and what to say. And I think it could help so many people to just go, you know what? I am who I am. It's great to be me. I'm going to tell people about it. I think that's great. So I think it encourages a great thing. But I just wanted to... it wasn't really anything that, you know, it's not a question or anything. It was just to highlight on it. I think it's great. And I think it encourages more people to be as brave as he's been. And I think he's been an inspiration to many people this week. And hopefully we see more of this as well. Because people should feel comfortable to announce their sexuality. Because, as I think Aaron had mentioned earlier on in the week, a straight person wouldn't feel like they need to come out and say that they're straight. So it shouldn't be the same the other way around. So I think it's great. It's a great example of just being brave and having that courage. And I think that's great. I don't know if anybody wants to add anything else to that. I just wanted to put a mention in. But yeah.
No, fair play to him. He's had the bollocks to do it. I mean, fair play to him. It shouldn't be the case that he shouldn't say it. Because why shouldn't it be? He should have the freedom to say something. He has the right to say something like that. Yeah. So fair play to him.
Exactly. Yeah. I will just touch on it as well, that since he is 17, you know, we podcast all can relate to maybe bearing witness to certain bullying around that subject. You know, we're all still in school. We all understand. Well, at least most of us are all still in school. We understand like the consequences of coming out, and you know, like we know the sort of culture that surrounds it, and you know, like in such a, I don't know, it can be very toxic, especially, you know, surrounding football and supposed like rugby and stuff, where you just presume to be that sexuality. So it is a very important subject, and I feel like you said, Warren, it shouldn't be news. It should just be the norm. But apparently, it still has to be talked about. People have to still be made aware of it. And like in terms of certain like associations, like you're talking Rainbow Laces and in other organisations. There's been major strides in football. I think stuff like that is the reason why the ESGs eventually came out, and hopefully there's sign of better things to come. I'm pretty sure it won't get any worse. Things are always progressing, and it'll get better from here. But yeah, it's just brilliant news, and just shows that football is progressing to be a more inclusive thing for everyone. So
and I think as well, like I'll give you an example. Well, not an example, but just as a comparison, right? Women's football, the Women's Super League, female footballers. There's actually a lot of female footballers in the Women's Super League that are lesbian and are open about it. And they didn't have to do an interview. They didn't have to just tell the world about it because they knew they wouldn't get anything from it. They could just be normal about it. This isn't an issue just generally with football. This is specifically male football. And I think that's a shame that that men's football as a popular sport has been around for longer than women's football, in the sense that it's only in the last few years that women's football has really took off in popularity. Obviously, it's always been open to either gender since the beginning of time, since it first became a sport. But what I mean is, it's only the last few years it's really gained popularity and become a bigger thing, which I think is great, by the way. But it's just a shame that men's football can't progress with the times. It's the same thing with BLM and all this stuff. It shouldn't need to be a message. You should just know that anyway. So I think it's just a shame that we're having to teach people lessons about how to treat others fairly. I think it's crazy, really, that we're still having to do that. But and that's only for a minority, by the way. It's just a shame that sometimes the minority are the loudest. But it is great to see the support he's been getting over the past week. So well done to Jack Daniels for that.
I'd like to add something to that as well. I think it's gonna not only in football, but I'd say sports in general for males and females, no matter what age. They'll see he's 17, just starting his football career, and they think, "Oh yeah, this guy's brilliant. He's done something amazing for that people."
That community.
I can't really explain it. But
you
know what I mean. Like that sort of class. Like I think he's going to spark sort of let's say a fuse. That'll be the best way to put it. It'll spark a fuse for people to start coming out. And I think from this point onwards, we're going to see a lot more people coming out, not just in football, just all sports in general. Because, like you were saying, football is one of the massive ones for male footballers. With the whole, I think the main reason why it stems to such a big problem is because of things like chants, where people start chanting about it and causing problems. On top of that, I think because of obviously there been not just in sports, there's been a lot of issues with people coming out and people like sort of like how you mentioned us being in school and people bullying people for it. I think it shouldn't happen, and at the end of the day, it's their choice and it's their life. People should just move on from it, and just let them live their lives. And at the end of the day, we're here to watch football, not find out about what people's sexualities are or what people's interests are. For example, obviously with us being Stoke fans, if a Stoke player was to come out, personally I wouldn't care. But if people would start chanting about it, that'd be what would really get on my nerves, because it's just a pointless thing that makes it worse for them and worse for people that want to come out, and it makes it harder for people to come out.
Yeah.
And that's,
and
like you were saying earlier, that's what makes it such a big problem. I'd say it's more the fans than the actual sport itself.
That's what it is. It's the fans around it. I mean, and like you say, like if you're a Stoke player or blah blah blah, how could a player ever have loyalty to any club if they know them announcing something about themselves could turn some of the fans against them? Do you know what I mean? It's a very difficult thing, but well done to him though. Very, very brave of him. Like you say, it's a great thing. But moving on to the final thing to end this podcast. Again, another great thing that's been announced this week is that female refereeing at the Qatar World Cup. Well, actually, we've got two things left. I've just realised there's still Vale to talk about. What a shame. But yeah, female refereeing at the Qatar World Cup. This is another thing where we only need to really briefly touch on this. Again, it was just another thing where I just thought it's a great thing. I've seen some people, you know what football Twitter's like, but I will say, if you are mooning about it, seriously, get a grip. I mean, refereeing decisions aren't going to be affected because the eyes belong to a female. It's just a sexist argument, to be honest. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if I actually liked the argument that Aaron said earlier on in the week, if anything, and because the female referees that have been selected, because they're actually getting this opportunity and they'll want this more often, they could actually be better than some of the male referees that we usually have, because male referees get this opportunity every time. It's standard. For these few female referees that are getting this opportunity, unfortunately, it hasn't been a standard thing for them, and they'll want to seize this opportunity and put on a great display. So if anything, you're moaning now, but the refereeing quality could go up for that. And yeah, I don't think you'll be moaning if a referee does have a great game that involves your country in the World Cup. You won't be moaning then, and you shouldn't be moaning now. You shouldn't be moaning ever. Gender's got nothing to do with shit refereeing. I mean, and to be honest with you, if there was gender to do with shit refereeing, you would actually be blaming more males than females if you look at the standard of some male referees. But yeah, I think it's a great thing. And like I say, if anybody wants to add on to it, they can, but I just thought, put it in there.
Yeah, I thought I'd just say that. I mean, I don't understand the argument of it has to be a certain type of person to be a referee, like it has to tick certain boxes. The only box it should tick is that if you're qualified or not, if you've got your badges or not. I don't care who's refereeing my game. It could be white, black, Asian, man, female, my dog, literally anyone. As long as they're qualified, that's all that should matter. And I don't get why people think that it has to be a white male to referee again.
Yeah,
doesn't computer to them.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I will say I think the dog, there would be a height imbalance there, but I do 100% agree with Has. I think what he's he's exaggerating the point to make the point. I mean, fair play. Yeah. Completely agree. Anybody can do it. You got your qualifications. Completely agree with you, Has. Absolutely, yeah. I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything, but
I'll just say who the actual women are that are going.
Okay,
yeah. So we've got Stephanie Frappart from France, Salima Mukan Sanga from Rwanda, and then Yoshima Yamashita from Japan. And then there is 3 more female assistant referees as well. So six officiating.
Yeah.
Anthony Taylor and Michael Oliver selected as well. So actually more women than men.
Yeah. Great.
I think for me, put all 6 of them women in the Champions League and we'll do a better job than most of the men.
Alright, calm down.
Yeah, well, no, I agree with that. I agree with Aaron though, in a way that some of the refereeing. I mean, in Champions League and in Europe, I think it's slightly better. But I think, especially in English football, if you go across the 4 leagues, the standard of refereeing is an absolute joke. It's shocking. And I think
you see it every week.
And I agree with
People
Aaron in a way.
complain about the refereeing.
The standard of refereeing actually might be better if you put some more female referees in there, because some of these male I think part of the reason why refereeing is in such a poor state in England is because most of these referees don't feel any pressure because there's nobody pressuring their job. They've got no real competition. The other referees around them are at the same standard, and they've not got enough referees to pressure somebody in that way. If you've got more female referees involved, there's more pressure. It means everybody has to perform at a better level, and I think that'd be for the best for football generally, to be honest. And I've watched a fair bit of women's Super League football, and that's all female refereeing. It's a really good standard actually. But we're gonna try and quickly wrap this up with the final thing. Just literally a 30-second message from each person here. A message to Mansfield as they go to Wembley, as Port Vale have made it into the playoff final after a lucky penalty shootout win against Swindon Town. So Port Vale still missed 2 penalties and they still managed to win. What a load of rubbish, is what I say. But Ethan, have you got a quick message for Vale as they head off to Wembley with their hopes high?
Well, gonna be honest, Mansfield just win. Honestly, just win.
Yeah, sure.
Honestly. But the thing is, if Vale do win and go up, fair play to them because they've had a really difficult season. Well, the manager has, especially because of personal situations. So fair play to him. But Mansfield, just win.
Yeah,
just win at all costs. At all costs, just win.
Yeah. Aaron, have you got a quick message for Mansfield?
Just want them to batter him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just smash him 3-0. That's all I want.
Plain and simple.
I don't need to anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mansfield win 3. I was saying 3-0 before, and I'll stick with that as well. Yeah, beat Vale. I know many great people that are Vale fans, by the way. I know many great people. People that I'm connected with in terms of family and stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, facts don't care about feelings. And it's a fact that we're rivals. So I can't care about your feelings right now. I need you to lose at Wembley. I need you to crash out because I don't want that gap getting smaller. Mansfield, get the job done. Don't let Port Vale steal the limelight. This is your time to shine, not Port Vale's. They've had enough chances. Get rid of them. Get them out of Wembley early. Get the job done and make yourselves happy. And many Stokies and Crewe Alexandra fans cheer as well. We'll be supporting you. Up the Mansfield. And on that note, he's a neutral. He's a neutral. So I don't know I don't know if you want to say anything, but
I mean, the only thing I think I can say is that my dad, when he was young, used to side with Port Vale instead of Stoke. So I'll just keep quiet on this one. But for you guys to say good luck. But yeah.
But I will say well done to Port Vale though for getting through the playoffs, getting to Wembley. Either way, whether you win or lose, you've got yourselves to the best venue in England. Congratulations. It's not easy to get playoffs. Stoke have failed miserably season after season. So well done to you for actually doing your job, getting to the playoffs, winning the semi-finals against a challenging Swindon side. You're going to have going to be sitting in a great stadium regardless. You've given your fans a great day out regardless. So congratulations on that, because if you can't congratulate a winner when they win, how are they meant to congratulate you when you win? So there you go. That's what I'll say on that. But that is it for today's podcast. That is everything. We've blasted through it all. There you go. There'll be shorts coming soon. There'll be another podcast next week, similar time next week. Does everybody want to say bye before we go?
Adios, amigos.
See you in a bit, guys.
In a bit. And I think Aaron. There you go. There's Aaron there. Right, we'll see you later, guys. If you did enjoy, then please like, subscribe, comment down below your opinions. We'd love to hear them, even if you are a Vale fan. Put a comment down as long as it's not abusive and got loads of inappropriate language in it. Anyways, we hope you've enjoyed it, guys. We'll see you in the next one. I've certainly enjoyed doing it. We hope you've enjoyed listening to it, and we'll see you in the next one.